in on the testimony.
Years ago, a young singer named Johnny Ray became an instant national hit. His emotional style of singing made him familiar to all of us. And then, almost overnight, popular music changed direction, and he was more or less forgotten amid new trends and new singing idols. But throughout, Johnny Ray continued to perform around the world, and he managed to overcome personal problems that must have seemed insurmountable at the time. Recently, he visited our studio, a middle-aged man in fine voice and excellent spirits, as you'll see and hear.
I went walking down by the river, feeling very sad inside, when all at once I saw in the sky the little white cloud that cried. He told me he was very lonesome and no one cared if he lived or died, and said sometimes the thunder and lightning wouldn't make all the little clouds hide. He said, have faith in all kinds of weather, for the sun will always shine. Now do your best and always remember the dark clouds pass with time. He asked me if I could tell all my world just how hard those little clouds try. That's how I know I'll remember that little white cloud that sat right down and cried.
I remember that you were the first, one of the first performers I know that was very frank about what's called a handicap, but you overcame it simply by making use of a hearing aid. And you don't seem to have
hearing aid?
hearing.
Oh, it's not a handicap, as a matter of
It
fact.
isn't to you, I guess it's...
Well, no, we've talked about this before, but of course I wouldn't expect our viewers to understand. But it's not a handicap because, you know, when you go to bed, and I take it off, phones ring, the maids vacuum, people knock on doors. I don't hear any of that, and so I get a lot of sleep that way. And you go to, and, you know, something I hate cocktail parties, and so I can go and turn it off and just tell people my battery's gone dead, and they don't know the difference.
You were also the first really authentic, youth-oriented popular singer that was successful. Now, there are others that have had success were really band vocalists, which you were not. You did a solo act, and you were immensely successful in it. The time when you had Cry and the Little White Cloud, which you sang, and those things. Now your career's on the rise again, but I want to know how you feel about, you've got the second half of your life stretched out ahead of you. You have arrived at about that half-century mark.
Yeah, I hit 50.
My
last
your 50th
birthday. I didn't think I'd get this far, but
how do you feel about this stage?
I'm telling you the truth. I really am a lot happier now.
You have more insight into yourself, do you feel, than you did?
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, I suppose. But I think, you know, the first half of your life, the problem is getting there.
Sure.
And then after that, I think it's all uphill instead of downhill, because I'm enjoying my work more now than I ever did before.
Terrific.
Oddly enough, the voice is getting stronger the older I get. I don't understand that at all, because I thought, 20 years ago, when you're going to hit 50, it's not working out that way.
I wonder if that has to do with with your attitude towards yourself, the way you take care of yourself. You've known other greats who were not as self-protective, and where there's an element of almost self-destructiveness, which reaches violent peaks in cases like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, but in a less violent way, but still self-destructive. I'm thinking of Judy Garland, who gave so much of herself to her public that she was probably neglectful of her own well-being and died younger than she should have. How have you escaped that kind of a syndrome so that you remain healthy and vigorous?
Well, clean living has nothing to do with it.
Well, I don't know. I hear you quit smoking and drinking and everything. That sounds like clean living to me.
Well, yeah, but I play hard. And my musical director, who's here somewhere in the studio, Jerry Blaine, he's from Seattle, so they hoop it up pretty good up there. But I work hard. I get a lot of rest. I watch my diet, because I quit smoking 5 years ago, and it's a battle.
When you quit smoking, you had a little weight gain problem, did you?
Well, because I started Fritos, potato chips, spaghetti, all that stuff.
Have you talked to Narcy David, who has these delicious diet dishes, you don't gain, and you
No, but you talk about Judy. I think Judy was very misunderstood in many ways because of the media. Judy was quite vulnerable in the sense that she was a very sweet, marvelous, beautiful lady, but we had one thing in common, is I never know who my friends are. And I never know, somehow how to protect myself, because when somebody says something to me, it never occurs to me that it's not the gospel truth. That comes from my family, because my mother and father were like that, and having been born and raised in a small town, where nobody locked their doors, and everybody came over and said, I'd like to borrow a cup of sugar. It was still old-fashioned, that sort of thing, but that's where I was born and raised. And as a matter of fact, in the performance, I have a small tribute that I do to Judy.
Could you do a portion of that for us? I mean, could you do a song from that?
Oh, sure. You want me to do it now? I want to talk a little more.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more with you, but I'd like to hear the song, and I think the audience would like to. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Johnny Ray.
Though the rain comes a pitter-patter, and I'd like to remain in bed, skies are weeping while the world is sleeping, troubles heaping on my head. It is vain to remain and chatter, and to wait for a clearer sky. Helter-skelter, I would run for shelter.